You know. All right, tonight we're at beautiful Mount Airy, North Carolina, at our home in a rig from NCFI that we're going to be delivering tomorrow. Just want to do a quick breakdown on a GX-7A, taking the check valves out and taking the module out. The pour module, an A3 pour module. So, you can use a 7-inch wrench on your R side, on the top of the block. It's lettered A and R. It don't really matter which one you take off. On the gun block is an inch wrench, and usually you can use a crescent wrench to hold it, to break it loose. And this is after you get the gun off, to take it apart and clean it. So what you're doing is you're actually holding the gun block and then breaking the 7/8 nut loose. Now what's going to happen is you're going to unscrew it, obviously with safety gloves and rubber gloves on. I'm doing it with just my hands because this is a brand new gun. And this is the R side check valve. Right here you can see it's got the screen and also the check valve as well. So if you look at it, normally as the colors are, they're red and blue, the red representing the A side and the blue side representing the R side, the resin. Alright, so I've got two containers right here that when I take everything apart, that I put the proper side in the proper cleaning solution. Okay? Alright, so what I do is that once I get the check valve out, I'll put it in the center of my hand, push it with my thumb on the check valve pops off, as so. This is the resin side, so it goes into the blue, the screen, and then the side seal, or actually the screen screw. Alright, on the opposite side, the A side, we hold it, we take it out. This is the A side. It's not colored, but it does have the notches on the nut. So that's what represents the A side. The R side does not have the cutaway on the nut. The A side does, so that way you can keep the A side and the R side separated. Now as you take these things, I'm not going to take the check valve off, but you've seen how I've done the R side. But usually what I do is when I take them off, I'll spray them out with carburetor cleaner, some kind of solution, cleaning solution. I'll give a shout out to Walmart or SuperTech of their carburetor cleaner, $1.97 a can. Works real well for me. But you can use other solutions as well. Flush it out real good after you get the check valves out, get them apart, get them in solution. On the rear back here, as you can very well see, I've got it clamped into the vise here at the hardest part of the handle for my third hand. So it keeps it stationary as I'm taking it apart with air going to it. I've got air going to the gun so it can actually work. So what I can do now is after I get that flushed out real good, I'm going to take the module, the pour module out of the front. With air being on the gun, push and turn the safety counterclockwise, and I'll just go ahead and just take it all the way off as what I normally do anyway, so that way I can work the trigger when I take the module out. Alright, if you look right here, on the back side right here, there's a 1/2-inch nut. This right here is a rear packing nut. Okay, and this silver piece or this copper piece right here that I've got my finger on right here, the 5/8, that is the forward stop. That adjusts the valve rod back and forth, in and out, so you can get the adjustment right. And as well as the top, the 5/16 nut on top is the forward stop hold down, which normally is just only finger tight. Okay, but I just want to run through that so I can give you kind of an exploded view. But anyway, after you get it cleaned, flushed out as best you can, then we're going to end up taking the PCD body, taking the module out of the gun. With the air on it, 5/8 wrench, break it loose. This thing has to be pretty tight. And as you noticed, I turn my wrench backwards so it won't slip on this skinny PCD nut. I'll break it loose. With the air on it and the safety off, I pull the trigger, pulls the valve rod all the way back so I can take the PCD body completely out. And as you can see here, I've got the PCD body in my hand. And if you look right here, this right here is the end of the module. This right here is what they call on the front of it is a front packing. Now what I do is when I release this trigger, you'll notice that the valve and rod pushes the module all the way out to the end. As so. So that way, it's real easy to get the module off the valve and rod. So you don't bend it. Alright, this is the valve, or this is the module. As you can very well see, it's got two holes, one on the A and one on the R. And the module goes just like this, the nose cone first. So after I get all this out, clean it out with carburetor cleaner or cleaning solution as what you would prefer. Make sure I don't have any buildup on the valve rod. Flush out the inside of the gun block, as well as going back and flushing these out. Blow everything out with the air. Make sure all the residue is gone. Then I got me a pin vise with a 39 thousandths drill bit that I'll check the module, make sure that my ports holes is open. And if you'll notice that I've only got my drill bit just so far out. All I'm doing is making sure that the drill bit goes just to the center where you can actually see it to the inside of the module where the valve rod goes. I don't like sticking the drill bit all the way through. I run into an issue with that from time to time to where it opens up one port larger than the other, and it don't take much. So what I do is I just do one at a time. And then once I get it through and I can see the holes clear, blow it off real good. I'll use the air hose, air blower, blow everything off, including the module. Okay? Now I'm going to put it back exactly the same way as I took it apart. The module goes into the PCD as such with the front packing in the front. I'll push it in. It'll go all the way in as where it bottoms out. I put just a little bit of grease right around the threads right here on the back side, just a little bit. And this is after I make sure everything's clean. Everything's cleaned out on the inside of the gun block with the air still hooked up. Pull the trigger so it allows the valve rod to come back. So that way I'm not pushing this thing onto the tip or the valve rod and forcing it and bending the valve rod. So with the valve rod pulled back, all the obstruction is gone. Everything lines up pretty. Get this thing screwed in there with my fingers as tight as I can. With my fingers, as far as it'll go. Release the trigger. That pushes the valve rod toward, and you can actually see where it's just coming out of the front. Now the PCD body has to be extremely tight. Don't strip it, but get it tight. Probably the tightest thing on the gun. So I'm going to turn it, and you can see I've got my ricks going to the inside, and I just go a little bit at a time. And I just take my time until I get it real good and tight. Make sure it's not going to leak. Alright, once I got it tight, then I go back to my check valves and my screens. I've done cleaned these, so to speak. I've got it back together. This is the A side. I put grease around the threads. Okay? Always be sure that I take the check valve off and the screen, clean the screen, put it back together just like I took it apart, put grease around the threads. This is the A side. The A side goes on the A side. I'll screw it in. Do the same thing to the R side. My screen off. Flush it out with cleaner, blow it off, and keep it between my fingers, and always hold it up to a light and look through the screen so you can see if there's any kind of contamination. If not, then replace the screen. But since the screen's brand new, it looks good. Put it back in there, snap the module back in. You'll hear it click. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Hear it click, snap, goes in. 7/8 wrench, put grease around the threads like I said earlier. And just get them snug. You don't have to over tighten them, because it's kind of like a compressed fitting. Just snug them down until they're fairly tight. And once you get that, put your safety back on your gun, push it in all the way, and then you're ready to go for the next day.